Hi, it's Steve Riley. Welcome to this edition of Great Practice, Great Life. And today we're going to wrestle with an incredible practice issue. And I am bringing on my co-instructor, the amazing Patti Paz. Patti is a adjunct practice advisor. She is a team leader for a law firm, which we'll talk about in a minute. And Patti also is going to co-lead with me a program on teaching non-lawyers to do initial meetings. And so Patti and I thought we'd get together and talk about this because this is a controversial topic, Patti, controversial topic. Now, before we get into it, Patti, welcome. Good to have you here. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
It's always a pleasure to have you here, Patti, because you bring the amazing perspective of a person who's worked in law firms, from receptionist, law firm runner, legal assistant, paralegal, office manager, team lead. Now you're co-leading practice growth programs. You're co-leading the team leader program. And you and I are going to lead this really interesting concept of what you and I would call the empowered team advantage. But we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So, Patti, anything you would say before we get started?
I just I'm thankful to be here. I'm hoping that everyone is ready to try something new, stretch your growth, and kind of look to see what you can do within your firm to gain some leverage and move your firm forward.
So this is a core element of this. So one of the key benefits to developing a intake process where non-lawyers meet with prospects is that the lawyers no longer meet with unqualified prospects. But to do that, the first thing that you have to understand as a lawyer is that the initial meeting can't be problem solving or answering legal questions. So that requires you to back up and redesign and rethink through your process. The second one, Patti, here it comes. You ready?
Yeah.
This will mess with my cash flow.
It could if you just throw them in there and you just expect them to do it from day one and not train them. It may mess with your cash flow, but if you do it properly and train and work the process, I'm here to say that it's actually probably going to increase your cash flow
Yeah.
because your time, if you just sit down and calculate your time that you're spending in initial consults, and if your conversion rate is 50%, that other 50%, how much time went into those initial consults? Just that in itself is telling.
Yeah, so this is important. So if you're a lawyer listening to this, the first thing we want to do is get you out of non-productive initial meetings. So you're only meeting with paying clients, which will increase your cash flow and profitability greatly. Number two is if you're trying to increase the amount of revenue you're producing without increasing costs tremendously, I should say, having 1 to 2 people doing initial meetings that are non-lawyers and you only working with paying clients will drive profitability and cash flow through the roof. You'll actually make a lot more money, have a lot less stress, and your profitability will jump tremendously. So your cash flow will grow tremendously. Patti, I'm going to talk for a moment, if you're okay, about what I consider the 5 Ps of an initial meeting.
Okay.
And then I'm going to have you talk for a few minutes about your take on these, okay? So if I'm coaching through a team member, a non-lawyer, on how to do an initial meeting, I usually say there's 5 core Ps in an initial meeting. The first one is to be present. And you can't be present in a meeting if you don't understand the structure of the meeting, the agenda of the meeting, the stories. 2, permission, permission is a very, very powerful tool for me. Asking permission of prospects and clients is very powerful. Getting clear of the problem, which is my third P. What's the problem that we're helping the prospect solve? Process, and then pricing. So if I'm looking at an initial meeting, I want to understand, are we being present? Do we have permission to talk about certain things? What's the problem the prospect's presenting? What's our process to solve the problem? And what's our pricing structure to address that? There's a lot there. What would you like to work with on that? Those 5 Ps.
I talk about process quite a bit. And that's what we sell to in our firm is our process. And people are comfortable with that. What I found going into initial consults with the attorney owner of my firm is the prospects were a little bit uncomfortable because some of them have never even met with an attorney. And attorneys just are, sometimes they're intimidating. And so understanding the process of what the unknown, try to make that unknown known for them within the process of the firm and working them through the firm. So process is a huge piece for me, and it's what I live for. I love processes. I love to clean them up and tighten them up, and so I think that's the one thing that I enjoy the most, and that seems to be very powerful with the prospects to understand.
So well done, Patti. Anything else that you want to add as advice to someone who's looking at this?
I think it's really important to do the numbers before you get started. So figure out how many initial consults you're having, and figure out the time that you're spending with on the initial consults, and really be honest. So you have a starting point and what you need to work on, and then you can work through the process and figure out where you want to go and how you're going to get there.
Oh, that's a great one.
I think you need to have a foundation.
That's a great one,
And
Patti.
you have to be honest. You can't cheat. You have to be honest.